Hello everyone, myself Sushma C. I am working as a guest lecturer in Department of Botany, ADB First Grade College, Harapanahalli. And this video is for BSc second semester students, and here I am going to explain about reproduction in Marsilia. The reproduction of Marsilia takes place by two methods. One is by vegetative reproduction and another one is by spore production. The vegetative reproduction takes place by means of tubers formation. These tubers are small bud-like structures with cortical tissues having more amount of starch within it. The cells which are present in that cortical tissue is having more amount of starch material within it. These will going to be act as perinating bodies under the unfavorable condition, and when the favorable condition appears, these will going to germinate into new plant. So this is about the vegetative reproduction. So coming to the reproduction by means of spore formation, the spores are produced in a specialized structure called sporocarp. Basically, Marsilia is heterosporous in nature, produces two types of spores. One is microspores and another one is megaspores. The sporocarps are going to be developed at the basal part of the leaf petiolar region, and it is born single and sometimes it may be in cluster. The number of sporocarps is going to vary from one species to another species. When the sporocarps are young, they are green in nature, but at maturity they turn brown color and also hard in nature, and have to protect the spores. There is no need of going in detail about the development of sporocarps. Each sporocarp consists of a number of enclosed sori arranged in two rows. So here it is. These are called sori arranged in two rows, and the number of sori or sorus is going to vary from one species to another species. They may range from 14 to 20. Each sorus, so individual, single one individual is called as, one individual is called as a sorus. So collectively called as a sori, and one individual is called as a sorus, and each sorus is going to be covered by bilayered structure called indusium. This is the indusium, and each sorus is having a small stalk like structure. This is called receptacle, and each receptacle has at its terminal portion it is having megasporangia, and at the lower side of, on both the sides at its lower position, it is having microsporangia. Please observe here. So I will draw here. In this manner, the sorus is arranged. So this is called indusium. So this is called a receptacle. This is megasporangium, and these two are microsporangia. Microsporangia. So let us know about the internal structure of a sporocarp. Dear students, to know the exact internal structure of a sporocarp, it is necessary to take the different sections of a sporocarp. Taking the sections of a sporocarp in different dimensions. So among that, the first one is horizontal longitudinal section. Observe this picture. When we cut the sporocarp in this manner, the internal structure of a sporocarp will be like this. Under this section, we can observe the thick wall of the sporocarp. This is the wall of the sporocarp, very thick in nature, and the wall of the sporocarp is made up of epidermis and hypodermis. Here is the internal structure or anatomical structure of epidermis and hypodermis of the wall of sporocarp. Epidermis, hypodermis. Epidermis is made up of rectangular shaped cells and it is discontinuous due to the presence of stomata. Below the epidermis there is presence of hypodermis and it is bilayered in nature. Both the hypodermis are made up of, both the layers of hypodermis is made up of brick shaped cells. Only difference is the upper hypodermis cells are smaller in nature and it is thick walled, whereas the lower hypodermis is made up of the same brick shaped cells, but its length is longer than that of the upper hypodermis and its wall is thin in nature. Here hypodermis is also known as prismatic layer. It is also called as prismatic layer. Upper hypodermis is called as first prismatic layer and the lower hypodermis is called as second prismatic layer. And the gelatinous ring is present on two sides of the sporocarp. Here is the mound of gelatinous ring and here also is a mound of gelatinous ring. So in this view, under this view, only the cutted gelatinous ring is present. Actually the gelatinous ring is present throughout the sporocarp, but at this view we can observe only at the two sides of gelatinous ring is present at both the polar regions. And this gelatinous ring is helpful in avoiding the desiccation. Coming to the psoas part. So we know that among these two rows of sori, one individual is called as sorus. And the sorus is always going to be covered by bilayered structure called inducium. Within that sorus, a receptacle is present. This is the receptacle, and this receptacle is having at its tip megasporangium, and at the either side or lateral sides it is having microsporangium. So this is about the horizontal longitudinal section view of sporocarp. And this is the another view, that is vertical transverse sectional view. So when we cut the sporocarp in this manner, the internal structure will be appears like this. So here also the same thing we are observing, that is the thick wall of the sporocarp, which is made up of two layers. One is epidermis and another one is two layered hypodermis. And here also the gelatinous ring is present at both the sides, both at the upper and lower side, but it is more prominent at the upper side. That means it is more prominent at the dorsal side. This is the dorsal side and this is ventral side. So the gelatinous ring is more prominent at the dorsal side than that of ventral side. And coming to the sorus structure. So here only two sori are visible and each of which remains covered by two layered inducium, and this is inducium, this is sori. and each sorus is showing only one kind of sporangia in this section. So remember, in this section we can observe the thick wall of the sporangia and the cutted gelatinous ring, and that gelatinous ring is present at both the sides, and I mean at dorsal and ventral side, but it is more prominent at the dorsal side. And only two sori are present, 1 and 2, both sori rows are present, and both the sorus are covered by bilayered inducium, and each receptacle is showing only one kind of megasporangium in this view. That means each sorus is showing only one kind of sporangium. So especially the megasporangium is visible in this case. The third section, another section, is vertical longitudinal section. So this is the vertical longitudinal section. So observe this figure. The vertical longitudinal section of the sporocarp shows the outermost wall with the same structure as we observed in case of vertical transverse section and horizontal longitudinal section of the sporocarp. That means thick wall of the sporocarp made up of one layered epidermis and two layered hypodermis. And below the outermost wall, epidermis and hypodermis, below the hypodermis region, there is a presence of gelatinous ring which surrounds the whole sori. So this is the complete sori. The complete sori is going to be surrounded by gelatinous ring. So in vertical transverse section and in case of horizontal longitudinal section, we observe only the mounds or the cutted gelatinous ring on upper and lower or in dorsal and ventral side. But in this view, we can see the complete gelatinous structure is going to be present throughout the sori. And each sorus shows only one kind of sporangia, either microsporangia or megasporangia. Please notice here, when we take the vertical longitudinal section exactly at the middle of the sporocarp, then we can observe only the megasporangia at the sori region. So the sori is showing only megasporangia when sporocarp is cutted exactly in the middle region. When it was cutted in the peripheral region, just at the side of the middle region, then we can observe only the microsporangia. Along with this, the vascular elements or vascular bundles are also seen here and there. So this is the complete structure of sporocarp in different sections. And megasporangium will produces megaspores and microsporangium will produces microspores. After the maturity of a sporocarp, it turns brown color. Before, when it is in younger condition, the sporocarp will be green in color. When it attains maturity, it turns into brown color. So after the turning to the brown colored sporocarp, let us know about the dehiscence of sporocarp. The sporocarp of Marsilia is very remarkable, and the wall is very harder in nature, and it takes about 2 to 3 years for its decay. But the delay in decay is not at all going to affect the germination power of the spores present within the sporocarp. When the sporocarp is kept in water after the breaking of the stony wall, the sporocarp will going to split along its ventral side into two valves, and the tissue which is present within it and the tissue which is in contact with the sori will going to starts to imbibe the water from the cutted ends, and thus how it swells in the form of a ring. Later, the gelatinous ring which is present within the sporocarp and which is in connection with the sori emerges out from the splitted end of the sporocarp. Dear students, we have to remember that there are two rows of sori is going to be present within the sporocarp, and each sori is going to be in connection with the other, so that the complete sori are in connection to one another. So the throughout the connection of a sori is in connection with gelatinous ring, and when this gelatinous ring is coming out from the sporocarp, the throughout two rows of sori will also going to be gets out from the body of sporocarp. So here it is, this is the gelatinous ring, and these two are the two rows of sori. So this is the dorsal side and this is the ventral side of a gelatinous ring. So when the dorsal side of a gelatinous ring is in connection with the wall of the sporocarp, the ventral side of the gelatinous ring starts to straighten, and at this particular time the tissue, the sporangial walls and the indusia which is in contact with the sorus will starts to degenerate, or they get diluted in the water, so that the microsporangium and megasporangium will sets free for the dispersion of microspores and megaspores. That means the microspores and megaspores are gets liberated into the surrounding water after the dissolution of sporangial walls and the indusia of the sporocarp. And as soon as the spores are formed or get liberated, the gametic generation, the gametophytic generation will going to be begins. Remember one point, the spores which are ejaculated from the microsporangia and megasporangia, they are haploid in nature, and these haploid spores will germinate into a gametophyte. The microspores will germinate into microgametophyte and the megaspores will germinate into megagametophyte, and in that particular gametophyte the sex organs will going to be developed. In the microgametophyte the male sex organs are produced, whereas in case of megagametophyte there the female gametes will going to be produced. And we already know about the structure of Antheridium and structure of Archegonium in the while studying the other plants like Selaginella, Lycopodium and Xylotum. So these are also going to possess the same structure of Antheridium and Archegonium, and also the same type of development can be seen here. So let us know about the structure of Antherozoid, because it is different from the other Antherozoids. So this is the structure of Antherozoid. The Antherozoids of Marsilia are corkscrew-like structure and it is multiflagellate. And each Antherozoid has a posterior large globular vesicle, and at the anterior portion it is having nucleus and flagella, and flagella bears coilings. And the vesicle which is present at the posterior end contains starch grains, cytoplasm and also mitochondria. Coming to the structure of megaspore. Coming to the structure of archegonium, that is female gamete. A mature megagametophyte remains surrounded by a broad ovoid gelatinous layer having a funnel shaped jacket extending upward from the archegonium. So here it is the megagametophyte. It is surrounded by a broad ovoid gelatinous layer which is funnel shaped in structure and which is projected upward towards the archegonium, and the archegonium consists of a short neck of 2 tiers of 4 cells, each enclosing a single neck canal cell. Do observe here. So here, very minute structure of a megagametophyte, and it is surrounded by a broad ovoid gelatinous layer having funnel shaped structure extending upward from the archegonium, and the archegonium consists of a short neck of 2 tiers of 4 cells. So 2 tiers of 4 cells. Here are 4 cells enclosing a single neck canal cells. That means above the neck canal cell there is a presence of 4 cells. 2 tiers of 4 cells are going to be present at the tip portion of the megagametophyte. And here is the small venter canal cell. Here is the small venter canal cell, and below the small venter canal cell there is presence of a large egg, and this is called megagamete or female gamete. Coming to the fertilization. At the time of fertilization, many anthrozoids are attracted towards the funnel shaped portion of the megagametophyte. So after the dispersion of anthrozoids from the microgametophyte, so all the anthrozoids will get accumulated surrounding to the megagametophyte, and the cover cells which is in protection with the venter canal cell and the egg cell will, along with the venter canal cells, they get disintegrated, they get diluted, or they convert into a form of mucilage, and a pore is created at the anterior portion, and through this pore the anthrozoids will going to enter into the female gametophyte. And among the number of anthrozoids which are entered into the female gametophyte, only one of the anthrozoid will going to fuses with the egg, resulting in the formation of a zygote, and this zygote is diploid in nature. After the fertilization, the zygote enlarges rapidly and develops into a new young sporophyte, and after the fertilization of 2 to 4 days, a sporophytic plant condition will going to be takes place. So sporophytic generation followed by gametophytic generation and followed by again the sporophytic generation by the embryo. So this is what called as alternation of generation. So this is about the reproduction in Marsilia. Marsilia reproduces by two methods, vegetative method and spore formation. So you have to remember that when the Marsilia undergo vegetative reproduction and spore formation, it is in sporophytic condition. But when it comes to the gametophytic condition, there it is going to do the sexual reproduction. So in case of Marsilia, three modes of reproduction in its life cycle it is going to cross. One is vegetative, second one is asexual reproduction by means of spore formation, and the third type, its sexual reproduction takes place in case of gametophytic condition. So this is about the life cycle of Marsilia. Thank you.